Welcome to Chad Hates Carbs. Today we're going to do a food hack of an old recipe that my wife's grandma used to make called Angel Sugar Cookies. They are absolutely fantastic, and we're going to try to make them low carb. And there's a couple of things we have to do to make that happen. One of which is brown sugar, which I'm going to put a video up to how to do brown sugar low carb. Basically, you're using a little bit of molasses and then trying to mix it in. This is another hack that didn't work as well as I would hope, so I'm going to try it again later, but we're going to go ahead and try using it and seeing if it works in this angel sugar cookie recipe. So basically what we're looking at is we need to get a cup of shortening, and that's always a fun time. Actually, I hate this part because I always don't ever know exactly how much to get. And we used to have this one little thing that you could kind of mush it all in there and then squeeze it out, and it was kind of nice, but I can't find it, so we must have thrown it away because it was getting kind of grody. But anyway, trying to measure stuff like shortening is always kind of a pain, because when you're using containers like this, you got to push it down to make sure that it's actually the right amount. So anyway, I'm sure somebody's got a great trick on how to do this, but this is the way that I've had to do it over the years. So there's that. Cup of shortening. And there's a reason why shortening. My wife's the food science major, so I am not. But I was always asking her why, and she explained it to me, and then she used big words and I didn't understand. So there's a reason that you use shortening instead of using butter or something like that. So it does something different in baking, something, I don't know. Anyway, so we need to cream together the sugars with the shortening and whatnot here. We need the sugars, the shortening, the egg, and the vanilla. So we need 1 egg in there, and let's see, a teaspoon of vanilla. Man, wash my hands every 30 seconds here. Let's see here. Teaspoon of vanilla. Oops. Feeling extra clumsy today. Let's see here. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Come on. Well, it won't come open. Alrighty. Oops. That's way more than a teaspoon of vanilla. I guess we'll do a little extra there. Okay. Sugars. So we need a cup of sugar. So we'll do a cup of, and I'm using sucralose here, which is there. It's the Splenda's, what Splenda is. So we're going to do that in there. And then I have half a cup of brown sugar, quote unquote. That's the fake one. And you can see I actually made this with about a cup, but when you put Splenda in a magic bullet to try to pulse it to get it to mix in all the other stuff, it gets down to about half a cup. So it's super intense. So hopefully it's not going to be too crazy. So we're going to let this stuff go. Start it out nice and slow, because if you don't start it out nice and slow, it's going to spew everywhere. I probably should change the blade. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yep. Change the blade. This is not cutting it as well as I would have hoped. Let's use the beater blade. There we go. That should mush it a little bit better. Okay. now that it's not powdery, it should be fine there. Okay, so now we need to get our flour. And this is one of the things that's a little bit kind of bizarre. Not super bizarre, but kind of bizarre. We need to get the flour and the baking soda, cream and tartar stuff. And when we're doing this, we have to use a different kind of flour, obviously, because it's the recipe calls for 2 cups of flour. So what I'm using is Gloria Koch is a gal that she's huge in the low-carb community. She invented soul bread, has done crazy things. She runs the Facebook group I really like, one of the main ones. And she has this equivalency where to make 1 cup of this flour mix, you use a combination of lupin flour, whey protein isolate, and xanthan gum, and also oat fiber. So I'm going to do that. I need 2 cups, okay? But the equivalency, my understanding at least, and this is the first time I'm trying this mix as it stands here, the equivalency is supposedly make 1 physical cup worth of stuff, and it's going to be worth 2 cups of regular flour. So that's what we're going to try, okay? So based on that, we need a 1/2 cup of lupin flour. I'm not going to get that in there wrong. 1/2 cup of lupin flour. Okay, so that's 1/2 cup of lupin. Oops. Then we need to get a 1/4 cup. Of whey protein isolate and the oat fiber. So obviously, if you can do the math, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/2 is 1 cup. But supposedly, this is the equivalency of 2 cups of regular flour or even almond flour, which is kind of interesting. Almond flour has been the one that has been my go-to, but I'm gonna try it here. So that's a 1/4 cup of oat fiber. So there's that. So this again is supposedly going to be 1 equivalency of 2 cups of the other. Now we need 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum, and xanthan gum comes in these little packets, and it's like super fine and whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and use a 1/2 teaspoon because I used my 1 teaspoon already. So that's a 1/2 teaspoon. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to quite have enough in this packet. Set that down. Looks like a bunch of it is leaked out into the bag, so that should be enough. Oops. Of course, I inadvertently dump it. This is just a nice comedy of errors. Hopefully, you like comedy of errors type stuff. All right. I'm going to consider that close enough, because that's the way I cook, is close enough. All right, so that's that. So that's my flour equivalency. So let's go ahead and get that all mixed together. I'll just use a fork to do that. That's the flour equivalency, but remember, we still have more stuff in the sugar cookies, right? We still got to get in our salt, and we still got to get in our baking soda and our cream and tartar. This is one of those things I'm not really sure why you use baking soda and cream and tartar rather than just using baking powder, but that's what the recipe calls for, and I'm going to at least get close. Okay, so we need a teaspoon, and I've already used those, so let's pull out some other ones. A teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of salt, okay. A teaspoon of cream and tartar, and a teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda. Okay. And then a teaspoon of cream tartar. Okay. There we have it. this. Okay, now supposedly we're supposed to be adding the dry into the wet. So we're going to do that. Just going to kind of dump it in a little bit at a time here. Definitely pretty sticky, that's for sure. Makes a stiff dough. Can't say that I disagree with that. Let's go ahead and check it out. Texture-wise, it sure seems like cookie dough. That is for sure. All right, let me get this scraped down. I'll be right back. Okay, we got those, got that stuff all taken out. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll them into balls. It's saying about the size of walnuts. Then you want to roll them in sugar. In this case, we're just rolling them in some of the Splenda. You set them on the cookie sheet. I'm probably going to just do 12 by. So it's 3 by 4. 12 by. Wouldn't be 12 by. It'd be way too many. So roll it in the stuff. And because this has got the equivalency, it was looking like it was saying it's 1 cup. I'm using 1 cup of flour instead of 2 cups of flour. It's making me wonder like how many cookies in comparison. Now, this recipe is not exactly out of a cookbook, so it's one of those handed down from grandma recipes that I'm not really sure where it came from, but they're fantastic. They're easily my favorite cookies in the world. But obviously they're not low carb, so I've been trying to figure out a way to do equivalencies, and I've been super impressed with lupin flour, and so when I saw that Gloria had done this process where you can take all these different flours and combine them into something that is a direct equivalent, I was excited. I've been having a lot of success with almond flour in my pancakes and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. The texture is still not quite right, even with the superfine. So the idea of going with this superfine kind of thing. The lupin flour is beyond superfine. It's like flour. The superfine almond still has a little bit of that rougher texture in there. I'm probably making these way too big. I noticed as I'm making these that they're getting bigger and bigger. I'm not very good at consistency when it comes to stuff like this. So these are going to be probably way too big. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Alright. It's just going to end up being one giant sheet of cookie. Let's keep those out just a little bit. And I am using a Silpat. Big fan of Silpat stuff to keep your stuff from sticking to the pan. It does kind of mess with sometimes some of the cooking temps and whatnot, but I don't know. It's, in my opinion, it's generally worth the hassle. So, all right, like I said, these are probably way too big, but oh well. So it says 10 minutes at 375, so we're going to slap it in there and we're going to see what we end up with. Spoiler alert, these things are hilarious. So, those are a little bit higher, a little bit taller than what I was expecting. So they're Angel Sugar Mountains. Kind of wondering. Let's check the bottom. Yep, there's still, I mean, there's not like just a giant pocket of air down below. So let's get these off of here. We're going to need to let this cool off before I do the next batch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, obviously I don't want to eat it right now either, but I just wanted you to see these right when they came out. So they look kind of cool. They look a little bit like sopapillas or something. But we're going to let this guy cool down a little bit. Get the silk hat off so it can cool separately. We're going to let this guy cool. And yeah, when I come back, we will load up another batch. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm not going to leave them as balls. I'm going to smash them flat, and we'll see if they do the same thing. Because I was expecting them to spread out a little bit more, and they did not. So, be with you in a second. Alright, let's try some of these a little flatter. Since they don't seem to change shape much when you cook them. Probably should have done a couple in the first batch, and then, you know, that would have been smarter. That was not smart. Okay. Roll them, smush them. Smush them. Come on. It's like sticking in my hands more than each other. That's one thing I've noticed about some of this dough, is it likes me. Alright. Come on. Stay together. Alright. This one's a little bit. Just kind of push it together here. This last bit is nice and stuck to the bottom of the pan, bowl, whatever. So at least roll it up here. Alright. Push this one down, since it's not liking to flatten in my hand. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit extra sugar on top since I had to push it down and ended up pulling all the sugar off. All right. Just a little bit on there. All right. We're going to call that good. Slap these in for 10 minutes. We'll see how those are doing. In the meantime, I'm going to eat one of these that's been cooling for a bit, and we'll see how they are. Tastes pretty good. It's very cakey. Oh my goodness. That's pretty good. Obviously, very thick. It isn't quite the same flavor, but it's pretty close, which is, I'm very surprised. It has like a, I'm trying to think of it's a darker flavor. It's a, I don't want to use the word musty because it isn't that. It's a richer, deeper kind of flavor. It's really good. Really good. So yeah, let's hope that in 9 minutes, when this comes back, we're gonna have some cookies that are like the right shape, because wow, nice. See you then. So there's our 10 minutes. And yeah, much more like cookies. So that's the secret, I guess, is to, in this case, they're not really going to necessarily rise the way that normal cookies would. So you need to mash them flat. That's the lesson we learned today. So, yes, definitely recommend this recipe. Obviously, the second method is the one where you can get actually like flat cookies. So I wouldn't just roll them up because they're not going to spread out like I would have expected. And I'm wondering if it's some of the way that the various flour replacements work. Because flour is not very structural. It's kind of like this. But some of the other stuff, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, definitely worth a shot if you like sugar cookies. It's my favorite recipe, is sugar cookie. I will put the recipe as I made it today. And I'll try to clean it up a little bit so it's a little bit less random than the one I'm trying to read off of. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or thoughts or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.